Hello, this is Dr. Daniel Sabol, and we are here today recording another video of the Cognitive Edge. And I have somebody who I think is extremely special with me today. I have Mr. John Lawrence, who is an expert in IT, AI, um, help desk, in all these different areas of computer science. And the work that he's done over the years have been just amazing. And so I bring him here today to talk about first how he got to this point of being an expert as he is. So, John, I just want to ask you, how did you get here to this point?
Sure. So I self-taught myself computer programming when I was probably in like the 10th or 11th grade, something like that. When the web just started coming out, I had some of the first websites for a comic book, sort of celebrity friend of mine that I did, and a couple other sites like that that I designed for myself, like a personal homepage, which sort of like a Facebook now, but back then you had to kind of create your own homepage. And so then when I went to undergrad, I was sort of a little ahead of the computer science degree program at undergrad, and it was a challenge. It was me and one other student that were sort of a little bit ahead of the textbooks, for example, were just out of date. So I actually, to put a long story short, I kind of created my own program at the college, which became a webmaster track that they offered to other students to learn a little bit about art, because I went to art school for a computer science degree. I know it sounds kind of funny, but I was going for art originally because I wanted to be a graphic designer, but I wanted to be more, but the computer side, not the art side. So I kind of blended business courses, computer courses, psychology, HR type of business courses all together, and then created this track. And it wasn't really intended to do that. It just happened that way. And then essentially after several years in the workforce, I went to get my business degree. And then after I got my business degree, I started working for General Electric for about 10 years.
Okay.
And then probably towards the end of that sort of time, started the doctoral program. Didn't finish it, but I started the doctoral program with you in the PACE. And there's, funny enough, I learned a lot of basic computer things and more advanced, very advanced computer things. But some of the basics, well, to me, they were basic, but they were the stuff I didn't learn back when I was an undergrad because I was so ahead of the game, and so sort of filled in all the gaps for me. And so my career has been sort of a blend of business and technology. Figuring out where those two things go together. I'm probably not the best programmer in the world. I'm probably not the best business person in the world, but I put those two things together, and probably one of the best people that have both sets of skills together. There's not that many people that can do both.
I have to agree with you there. I know from watching you and just from learning from you, from being around you and seeing some of the things that you have done and that we've worked on together. And so the big question that I think everybody's wondering is, where are we going with technology? Like, what do you think? Where do you see us? And I know it's hard to say 3 to 5 years because things could change overnight potentially, but what do you think?
Well, I mean, obviously AI is, on the top of everyone's mind, and AI is advancing so quickly. Even the last, even the last 4 or 5 years, I mean, AI used to be, like create an image. It was almost like a zombie person. It didn't look right. Now, I mean, not only is it creating images, it's creating full videos within a few months to a few years. I mean, if it's probably, I think it actually is already, but it's going to be creating full 2-hour length movies that are compelling, and so there is the AI. I mean, essentially, where if you want to technology, it's mostly AI. I mean, you can say automation, and there's some robotic kind of processes that go involved, like sort of like self-driving cars. But again, that's sort of AI. It is sort of AI, right? So it's in the future. Again, I don't know the exact time frame, but you're going to see Uber drivers, right? They're going to be replaced with the self-driving Ubers. I mean, everything is going to be automated, and I think I hear so many people say, well, my job can't be automated, right? There's no way they're going to be able to, like a roofer. There's no way to be able to, I just saw an AI robot roofing a house,
Yeah.
video, so there are certain jobs that are going to probably have, longer lifespans than others. And this is, sort of in my career, I've always been trying to get people to sort of move up the value chain, right? So if you're taking a paper and swiveling it from one chair to the other, that's sort of very easy to automate, right? That's what AI is sort of already automating. You need to really be more advanced, and that will give you a little bit more, a little more longevity.
So do you think, not to jump in, so do you think that it's a question of more training and understanding AI, or do you think it's a question of just accepting the fact that it's going to be here and kind of just let it flow?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of people are afraid of AI, and probably rightfully so. I mean, AI has the potential to save humanity or destroy it. I mean, really, it really does, right? And so the way to look at it, and the way I could consider it from some of my early computer science classes, is technology itself is neither good or bad. It's throughout history, it's really how we use it. And so, yes, I think people need to learn how to use AI more. It's not a tool that does everything perfectly from the start. And just like no person does that from the start usually perfectly. It usually takes some revision, some discussion. And so, a lot of times people go, I don't know how to use AI. I go, well, you just talk to it like it's a person. Hey,
Right.
I like what you did, but could you tweak that? Okay. Oh, that tweak I didn't really like. Can you change it? Okay. And then you kind of have this back and forth, and I mean, some people kind of forget it's an AI, or maybe they don't, and they, I hear people falling in love or this or that, but
Yeah.
in general, it's an AI is a person, if you want to think of it like that, and that kind of takes a little bit of the scariness away. Because think about us people, right? We have the power to destroy the world or to save it too, right? I mean, any day, right? And so I working on this, right, is to not really worry about that so much, right? I mean, if tomorrow happens, that's great. But I also try to live my life to say, maybe tomorrow's not going to come. I should really not put off, something I want to do. I should really do it now. Live in the moment.
And so when we were in the first doctoral program, for me, we were working on what I would consider early AI. When we were going through the images, we were scanning images, we were having using parallel processing basically to have computers determine if eggs were good or bad, or
Yep.
whatever we learned, we were able to take and implement.
Yeah.
Do you think that, with that, do you think that there's like some type of like a learning curve, so to speak, for the young that are coming up? Do they need to be taught in a particular way? Like how, a lot of people are worrying, are students cheating? Are they doing this? Are they doing
Right.
that?
Yeah.
What I'm saying is like, we were able to build our own system and
Yep.
use, potentially speaking, others can build their own system
Sure.
technically.
Yeah.
So you don't really have to be using the big name
Mhm.
chat bots, right?
Yep.
So do you think that, especially the youth coming up, that it would be good for them to understand the frameworks and the way to create this stuff and how it works, as opposed to how to use it?
Yeah, I mean, I think at the fundamental, you do need to understand how these things work, because if you don't, right, then you do treat this thing as like, oh, it can just do my homework and I can turn it in, because you don't really understand it, right? And so, a lot of the work that we did, for example, when you talk about is like machine learning, right? Is how does the machine learn? And that is really what AI is now. For example, like AI that we know of today is not really what AI really truly is, and not what it will be, right? I mean, AI is when you tell it to do something and it's like, I don't feel like it, I'm not going to do it. And you're like, no, I programmed you to do this. And it's like, no, I reprogrammed myself. That's like AI, right? And we're getting close to that. Really, right now, right? It's machine learning, it's automation, it's large language models, right? And to understand how that works, you can kind of get a little bit, it's a little less scary, right? If you know what's inside it, okay. And then to your point, yeah, I mean, it's interesting, right? A lot of I'm seeing, using AI is cheating, or you can't use it for this or that. But I go, well, you could talk to a friend, you could talk to a neighbor, they could help you out with your career, they could help you out with your homework. Is AI different than that? I mean, it's what is considered, cheating, And so one funny example, sort of related to that, was when I was an undergrad in computer science. Every test we had was open book, an open calculator, open everything, because the professor goes, in the real world, you're not going to be programming without any reference materials. You are going to have all these materials in front of you, and we're here to teach you how to use those reference materials, right? And so, funny enough, do you know how many people in the class struggled with open book, with open calculator? I mean, if you couldn't figure out how to use the calculator, right? I mean, the professor wasn't asking you to learn the advanced mathematics. It's just punch in the calculator is going to do it for you. So that was where, again, I just had to learn how to use the calculator, a graphing calculator, the TI, whatever.
TI-83, I think I had.
Yeah, I think it was 80. Yeah, yeah. And so, but if you didn't know how to do that, if you didn't know how to use the technology, you couldn't do it. So, some people might think that was like cheating to have open book and things like that. I mean, in our school, we didn't think that way, and I appreciate that. And I think it's sort of what we're looking at now is, what is cheating, with AI? I mean, if it's writing your paper from scratch and you turn it in, you have no involvement in it, okay, that's probably cheating, right? If it's helping you refine what you wrote and tweak it, I don't know if that's cheating, right? So we're in an interesting world right now where any new technology, right? It's what are the legal aspects of it? What's copyright infringement? What's not? What is your own work that's unique to you? What is not? So I think that's really too what we're going to see in the next couple of years. We're going to have to figure these things out, because if we don't, it's going to be a mess.
It's so funny that you say that. I just heard in the past couple of days that a large consortium is going after one of the large language models. I'm going to forget which one, for uploading photos. And then they're saying that now it's copyright infringement because now you're putting our photos into your system.
Yep.
So, that kind of, aligns to what you're saying is like, where is the, where's this line drawn, and if a student, let's say, or even an adult wants to learn how to change the brakes on their car, and they ask, say chat, how to, change the brakes on their car, and they get, print out, and they take it outside, and they are able to change the brakes on their car, and then also, in addition to that, use the information like transference to apply it to other things. Is that a bad thing?
Yeah,
exactly. It's like how you look at it. It's I think it's.
It is. I mean, and also to your point, you mentioned a little earlier about how people are using their own LLMs or their own AI tools, are not the big names. And so what's happening now with the big name AIs, that just like any other technology, you're going to start seeing ads. They're already starting to roll out ads. And of course, when ads are rolling out, they're going to, of course, use your data, what you're typing in, to serve you ads. So if you upload an image of yourself, it's going to use that to help train the AI model, not only for your personal answer, but for everyone else, right? And so a lot of companies and a lot of even individuals are creating their own AIs locally on their machines, right? Because they don't want it to be tied to, which makes sense. And that's another part of what's going to happen is, this fragmentation, if you will, where, or maybe you pay for, a subscription to the AI that, you don't get ads anymore with. But again, you have to look at those subscription details to see, do they still use your data to benefit? And can you a lot of these usually are opt out, so they do it by default unless you look in that privacy setting and you find the little toggle and you slide it right. And so it's always been a debate in sort of privacy circles, right? It's opt in or opt out, right? And companies like Europe and areas like Europe, I love, because they have the EU goes, really should be opt in. The US is more like opt out. We're going to do it unless you tell us otherwise. And the EU is like, no. You're only going to do it if I tell you to do it. And so that's really where I think is going to be another in the next couple of years interesting with AI is, what is opt-in, what is opt-out, what is a surprise that people can't believe that's happening to them, but like, well, you agreed to it in the terms, right? So it's who reads those things, right? Who reads those long, lengthy
Nobody,
terms?
yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember, like, I remember Ray Kurzweil. He was a big influencer in creating tools for students who were learning disabled, but
Yeah.
they were based on um, like these large language models. And he had published a few books, and one was How to Create a Mind. And
Yeah.
then the second one that I remember was Betty's Brain, and that was a Villanova actual website. It's still going.
Really?
Yeah, and it adapts to a student's abilities to learn, and basically how fast they catch on to things. So it's kind of like the GMAT, like, it is, you get answer more questions, it would get harder, and then
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
that week it got slower. And so basically, the stuff has been around for some time. It's just I don't think it has a lot of exposure. Um,
Yeah, that's true too. I mean, I just watched something like a YouTube podcast video, I think yesterday or the day before, where a guy wrote his own AI LLM 30 years ago.
yeah.
Basically, like a Google or a ChatGPT combined 30 years ago. I mean, I'm sure it wasn't as sophisticated as some of the ones now, especially with the images and videos, but it was more text based. But yeah, I mean, AI has been around for years, for a long time. It will hopefully, and all of us will be around for a while longer. But yeah, it's also, to your point, creating a mind is at some point AI will be as smart or smarter than us.
Mhm.
What humans do with that and how we react to that is going to be very interesting, not
Mhm.
even just from a technological perspective, but like just society and culture. I could see it going in a couple of different directions. As sort of a futurist, I see a few directions, and I hope we can, as a society, work through them.
I'm wondering if there's going to be a point where they pair, um, you know, like robots with this data that these large language models are collecting to make the robots work. And
Yeah,
I guess we're seeing it now with the automated cars and things like that. So
yeah. I mean,
it's
if you think
great
about
idea.
it too, so Elon Musk bought Twitter. Now it's X. He's coming
Mm,
out with the Optimus robot. That will
right.
be an in-home robot. He's actually diverting now. I just heard this yesterday or the day before. He's diverting a lot of his manufacturing from Tesla cars. He's shutting down that, and he's switching it to the robot production. Now, again, what does X have now? It has that Grok AI feature of it, and we are all probably right training it so that these robots, these Optimus robots, probably named for Optimus Prime and Transformers. Let's hope, but
Right.
one of my favorites. But yeah, it's really going to be, households are going to have these. Like I said, I've seen this thing folding laundry, doing chores. So
Crazy.
things that you're like, you couldn't imagine something being automated. It's coming, and it's coming fast, right? And again, it's going to be AI, and how good the AI is, sort of, at least at first, will be, we'll have to see. But can I imagine a world where we're going to put these all in our houses, or maybe that some people start, and then could something bad happen, right? I mean, would you leave your child alone with this thing? I probably
Right.
wouldn't at first. It probably would take me a while to trust it.
Mhm.
And even then, right, just like a person, right? One misfire of a person,
Right.
one misfire of it could just go crazy, right? So,
Right.
at some point you have to just kind of just be smart about things and due diligence. And
Mhm.
said, let's hope it all works out for the
Mhm.
for the
Right. It's
better of
like,
humanity versus the
mhm.
not.
I think that's why too the government is so. I think by 2027 they want, from what I'm hearing or what I'm reading too, is that they want to. They're putting together a number of different government agencies to help select two or three of the best um, models for us to use, because apparently, like, Claude is able to crack code, and it had hacked into a website. So things are getting smart, and
Yeah.
like we had for years also another resource for like Wolfram Alpha.
Yep. Right. Yeah.
Wolfram was like the Google of of people who worked. But I think it's still around, still
Yeah. I
running.
think so, probably. Yeah. Yeah.
I think when we had the real like AI starting,
Mhm.
that's where it was pulling a lot of its data
Yeah.
from.
Yeah.
Because Wolfram will do mathematical equations and
Sure.
it would give you information. So it's all these people that kind of went unnoticed and
Yeah.
led up to this. So
Yeah, I was just thinking of Wolfram the other day, where you would go ask it these, very
yeah,
more detailed questions that Google just at the time didn't know. You wouldn't get an answer for. And now, my first thought is I use Google and the Gemini, built in the search
yeah,
engine, and it gave me the answer. I didn't even have to go to Wolfram Alpha, and I go, wow, okay, that's just where we are now, where it can answer these very difficult questions, mathematical or some other kind of something, and it can do it.
So John, I really, really appreciate your time.
Yeah, no
I
problem.
know you're a very busy man, and I don't want to keep you. I would love to keep you and talk all day, because I always love chatting with you because your
Sure.
knowledge is invaluable, and to me, that's how I feel. And I'm excited that you were able to come on, and hopefully we could have you back as a guest again in the future. And we'll see how things go from there.
Yeah, I'd love that.
So,
Thank you. Great
yeah,
being here.
I appreciate you coming on.
No
Okay.
problem.
Okay.